Good evening, everybody. August 31st, 2021. Bitcoin has continued to follow my path very, very nicely here. So this is fantastic. I've basically been saying since up in this region that I expect us to come down here and double bottom at a minimum in this 46K region that we tested before. We have now sufficiently fulfilled that with this little spike down, which hit this region where all these wicks went before. We haven't quite gone as deep as I really expect us to go. I think we really should come down and get at least near to this bottom trend line, so a little bit further to towards 46K would be kind of my ideal scenario overnight before bouncing back up, and that could then very well bounce us off that 46K region that I said was so important as well. Now, alternately, of course, this could extend, and sometimes we do see that at the end of diagonal moves. We see an extension on the 5th where it fakes like it's breaking down or breaking out. So we may, in fact, see that down a little bit deeper to like 45 before reversal. But I believe that with these 5 waves down, once this final one completes here, I believe that we are probably nearing the end of this corrective area, and we can begin to see this start to climb again. So how that takes shape is, of course, anybody's guess. We'll need to let price action dictate how that looks going forward, but it would be most ideal to see at least on like a 5-minute, let's say, like a really low time frame. Let's say we bottom out around here. We really would love to see an impulsive looking 5 waves up off of a low, something along these lines where this actually plays out nicely with the expected fibs on a micro scale. If we can get that after striking what looks to be a bottom, which could happen at any point now, if we can get 5 waves up on this little micro, then we can view this as a pretty strong probability that it has bottomed whenever this happens. So I am buying Bitcoin, as I've said the past few days or weeks or whatever. I don't even remember how long it's been at this point, but I have been saying that I was going to be buying in this area. I had lower orders down here previously as well, but I'm focusing the majority of my buys now in this region. I think this is sufficiently played out a corrective, the corrective action here that we need to see. And so I'm going to focus my buys here. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that I won't consider, kind of cutting my losses, stopping out of some of those, depending on what the action looks like. If we do break down below 46, especially, I'm going to be a little bit more wary, or at least below 45, because we could then still be on our way down into this region here. But I think it's worth the risk to start, like I said, focusing buys down to 46, maybe a little deeper. Have some stink bids down to 45.5 or even 45,000, in case this wants to shake a whole bunch of people out. We may get a wick down and then a recovery up. So that is my plan. And then if I have any cash remaining, if these buys do not hit, if I have any cash remaining, but then we see an impulsive looking 5 up, something like that, especially if we clear this channel, then I will look to deploy whatever my cash is that's remaining. I'll look to deploy it. Once those 5 waves play out, then we'll look for a pullback, and I can look to buy basically at that point there with even greater confidence. So that's pretty much the update right now. Like I said, at the moment, I think we do probably have a little bit further down to go. That might just be overnight. We may fulfill that overnight here. We'll see. It may also take a little bit longer. Keep in mind that each one of these moves tends to be 3 waves, or really should be 3 waves. Here's 3 in that second wave. Here's 3 in that third wave. Here's 3 in the fourth wave. We haven't really had, like, we've had 1 down at this point. We haven't really had a second. So this one was large, obviously. So we could very well have a bounce up to, heck, even 47.7 or something, and then a rejection down, a final rejection down to go even lower. That would be kind of, I guess, max pain scenario in this case, because it would kind of fake some people out and them thinking that this is the rally right here, when in fact it intends to go lower. Or we might just have a shallow. I mean, this could be technically an ABC with this little shallow pump up here if it wants to take the more direct route. So I'm not sure which one of those routes it's going to take, but basically as long as it remains below this trend line, I'll assume it's got one more low in it until it strikes the bottom of the trend line. And if it doesn't do that, if it says this is the bottom right here and it breaks out of this trend line, then so be it. And that's perfectly fine with me too. I can purchase on the pullback after that. So, all right, that's pretty much the update for tonight, and we'll see what overnight action brings. Good night, everybody.